That always feels really good. I really like doing this. I'm going to do it again. You can join me if you want. It feels good for some reason. It kind of makes the snow globe settle a little bit. Anyway, welcome to my live. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. It's been a crazy couple weeks for me in my community, but things are starting to move forward and to settle a little bit. Thank you for reading my posts and hopefully donating if you can to Maui. So many people still need help, so please don't forget about this little island and help if you can. And come visit because we need some money flowing. So what I wanted to talk today about is something that's very important, and it has a lot to do with the mechanics of the voice as well as the psychology of the voice. I saw another teacher this morning talking about how a lot of teachers say, like, just don't sing from your throat. And she was like, yes, I totally know what they're getting at. And it is, what they really mean is like you have a lot of extra tension here. And that's totally, I fully agree with that, because usually that's what I mean when I say something like that, and I try not to. Oh, I live on Maui in Hawaii, and we just had a bunch of fires over a month ago, and a lot of people lost their homes. So if you can help, that would be great. I posted a bunch of stuff in my bio as well. Hey, Sarah June, welcome. I'm talking about tension in here, and how a lot of people would say, don't sing from your throat. And usually that's what they mean, is like, don't put a whole lot of extra tension in here. And yes, there's a mechanical component to that, but we can't always, we don't always know where it's coming from. Like sometimes it just happens because it's a habit. And sometimes habits take a long time to break. So practicing opening and making noise from a lot of different angles and different mindsets can be really helpful. Because sometimes just saying don't be tense is not helpful. Also, we kind of have to get to the bottom of why we're putting that much extra tension in your vocal muscles, your extrinsic vocal muscles, these bigger ones, because when the bigger ones are more tense, it affects the little ones that move your larynx up and down and stretch your vocal folds. So when you have this extra tension, the first thing your voice teacher is probably going to do is just be like, you're being very tense. Like some people will say, don't sing from your throat. Some people will say, sing from your diaphragm, which is also not entirely correct. Some people will say, get the rest of your body involved. That's one of my favorite ways to, instead of saying, don't do this, because when our body is concerned, like when we're doing something we don't know that we're doing, it's really hard to give the directive, don't do that, and then have the body actually respond, because then the focus is on the tension, the thing that you're not supposed to do. It's like that confirmation bias. Like if I say don't think of a pink elephant, you're going to think of a pink elephant. It's really hard to give don't directives to your body. So I like to give the other way around. I like to give, what do we want to do? Exactly. Positive language is where the brain connects to. So when I notice that somebody is having a lot of extra tension, closing off the pharynx, for some people it's just a lot of muscling from here. Some people, their tongue is really tight. It's all the same idea. It's just that everybody has different manifestations of the tension that comes into their body. So, for example, if you are a person with a lot of tongue tension, if you are a person that, like, if you go for a big belty note and your tongue it gets really in the way, it'll sound like it's just a really hard note for you. And we don't know why necessarily, but we don't necessarily have to. If we're just talking about, okay, let's get the tongue out of the way, right? And so in those moments, if we discover that your tongue is pulled back and it's closing off the space of the pharynx actually, then maybe we can try singing with your tongue fully out, and then see if we can get used to creating a new habit in order to choose that one instead of trying to break the old habit, which is really hard. So a lot of this is, instead of saying don't do the thing that we think is wrong, we are, number one, seeing if we can do the thing that is right, and making that become a habit. And then number two, if it's still not happening, why is that not happening? Like, we want to get to the layers underneath it as well. So in that tongue example, if you're trying to sing this big high note and your tongue's getting in the way, like, ah, right? I'm over tightening my tongue, over tightening my extrinsic muscles. And so it ends up being a very tight, strained kind of a sound. What I'm going to do is say, okay, number one, try it with your tongue out. Ah! Okay, maybe it's not just the tongue, maybe it's a combination of the two. Okay, so now I want you to bend your knees, open up, put your shoulders on your back. I want you to imagine you have angel wings. Open your angel wings and bend your knees. Sing from your whole entire body, like you're filling up the whole room. Ha! Whoa, okay, now it's a more open sound, right? So instead of saying just don't put that tightness in your voice, we found another way. And so that is what you want to practice so that it can become your muscle memory. But if for some reason that last one didn't work, if I'm still like there's still strain and tightness in there, like it maybe got a little better, but it didn't fully get better, then we want to go to the deeper layers, right? So what is it about that note? What were you thinking? What was your mind going through right before you went to hit that note? And then the person usually says, well, I've never really been able to hit it before, so I was just trying really hard to hit it. And that tells me, oh, okay, there's a lot of over efforting happening. And there's a lot of moments of maybe fear around that note, because if you've never been able to hit it before, your body doesn't have that evidence of, oh, I can hit this note, it's not a problem. But if you've never been able to hit it before, there's a hesitance, right? There's a fear that it's maybe not still going to happen this time. And so it becomes this big hurdle in your mind. And that is why these muscles are tensing up, because subconsciously you're like, I don't know if this is possible. And depending on if you're a fighter or a flighter or whoever, whatever your default is, that's how you're going to approach this big, scary conflict situation, right? It's not necessarily a conflict like with another person, but it's a conflict with yourself. And so that's what's happening, is you're actually giving your body conflicting messages. Like, yeah, I really want to hit that note, but your body's like, I don't know how to do this, so I'm going to just freaking give it everything I got. I'm going to muscle that note into existence. And the muscles that act first when we are talking about the voice, if you haven't been vocal training for very long, these are your default muscles that act when you're trying to make that sound happen. So in those moments, it doesn't matter if we give the body an alternative, the default's going to come back in, because there's this fear living in that moment before that note. And the gremlin's coming in and going, I don't know if you're going to hit it. You haven't been able to do it before. So why are you trying so hard? You know, if you're a flighter, that's what your gremlin's probably going to say. And you're going to be like, all right, well, it's not going to happen. So might as well just, and you give it nothing because that's your default. That's your pattern. So it's really important to understand all of these parts of yourself when you're talking about learning how to sing a big belty note or doing anything that's a challenge for you, especially if it's something where you feel tightness and strain, because it's really easy for me on the outside to go, oh, she's straining. and then tell you, okay, just stop straining. And then on the inside of your body, you're like, I didn't realize I was straining. I just didn't think I could hit the note. So we relate to our bodies in a very different way than the outside observer does. And so in that moment, I think it's really important to, number one, give yourself some grace and know that it is not your fault. It's not that you are a bad singer. It's not that you haven't trained enough to, you haven't done your work. Like, you have done all the work that you need to do to get you to this point at this moment. And sure, this may be a thing that you are wanting to work on. And of course, we can do that. But in this moment right now, we can't make ourselves the 5 years from now self that you want to be, right? So you have to have some degree of acceptance and grace and love for yourself and how far you have come up to this moment. And if you can't hit this big note right now, no amount of being angry at yourself or being judgmental to yourself is going to change how your body is relating to your voice right now. Does that make sense? So in order to have our body do what we want it to do, which is open and release, we can't come at it from a place of you suck, do better. Like, if you think of your inner self as like a child and they're doing something that you don't want them to do, is it going to work better to say you suck, do it better? Or is it going to work better to say, hey, let me show you a different way? And if they say, I'm scared, you're going to tell them, hey, I got you. I am taking care of you. You are safe. So it really depends on how we talk to ourselves. And if we have a pattern, like a really strong groove in our minds that is self-judgmental and telling ourselves that we should be able to do it better by now, that's the first path that our brain is going to go down. And of course, it's going to lead to tension because that's the energy of that self-talk, right? So it's, hey, why can't I do this? I should be able to do this better by now. Don't you feel tension when you're saying that to yourself? And if that's how you're approaching that note, like, I really should be able to get this note by now. What's wrong with me? If you say that to yourself and then you go sing that note, how do you think it's going to feel in your body? Right? So the thing that you're wanting is not going to come out of judging yourself and forcing yourself into that feeling. It's going to come from allowing and accepting and loving and making sure you are safe, and then trying to sing that note from that space in your body. Because when your body is feeling safe, it relaxes. And so if you're telling yourself to relax, hey, relax when you're singing that note, the body's going to respond with, oh, okay, I got to relax, right? I got to do more stuff in order to relax, which is the opposite of what you want. But instead, if you tell your body, hey, you're safe, you can open up safely, you got this, then it can actually open up and relax. And these muscles immediately respond to that. All of your muscles immediately respond when you are feeling safe, right? So, and your voice is the most intimately related muscle group to your brain, in my opinion. This is not scientific. I haven't looked it up, but I really feel like it is, because I like to say, like, when you stub your toe, what's the first thing that happens? You say, ow, even before the pain hits you, right? A lot of times you're like, boom, ow. Oh, ow, that actually hurts. And that's how immediate our voice muscles react to something that our nervous system is inputting, right? So if your nervous system is getting ready for this big note in a second, that's what's gonna be the input into your brain, and your muscles are going to be like, oh, got to get ready for this big note that's coming. Because that's what your nervous system does. It's like one step out ahead of you, watching for danger, right? We don't even realize that our nervous system is so much faster than our logical brain. because that's its job. It's there to expect what has already happened, and look out for anything that it knows that's a dangerous thing. So if you've tried that note before and it was painful, it sounded gross, didn't sound how you wanted to feel, didn't feel how you wanted to feel, didn't sound how you wanted it to sound, your nervous system is going to be looking out for that note again. And it's going to be like, oh, remember this really bad note? We got to tighten up and tense and make sure that doesn't happen again, right? And so then the tension comes back in, because that's the nervous system's job, is to be looking out for danger and possible conflict and big hurdles that you have to jump over. And normally, if you were out in the wild running, that would be a very helpful thing, right? Oh, here's this big tree I got to jump over. Here I go. But in every other part of our life, the nervous system is, hey, Joe, welcome. The nervous system is looking out for possible danger. And most of the time, we equate things that are not actually dangerous, but things that are just, that we're just scared of messing up. And that becomes the thing that the nervous system latches onto. Uh-oh. My time limit. No, don't pause. Okay, hopefully I'm back. Sorry. So that becomes the thing that your nervous system latches onto. And it's like, oh, we got to get ready for this thing. So we have this big belty note coming. Your body's like, uh-oh, here's this hurdle. Got to tighten up. When really we know that this tightness is going to cause the strain. And it's going to cause the harshness of that note, because it's closing off the pharynx from whatever way your body does it, whether it's your tongue tightness, your jaw tension, your neck, throat muscles. It's going to tighten that up because it's preparing for battle, basically, with this big thing that's a problem in your nervous system's mind, right? So in those moments, we have to get really good at, number one, knowing your patterns, right? So I know I'm a fighter and I'm going to tighten up and I'm going to fight over that hurdle no matter what. And I have to remind myself that I am safe. This note is not a threat to me. And a lot of times I have to go in through the body in order to do that. Because again, like I was saying at the beginning, there's no amount of just telling your body to relax that's going to actually relax you, right? We have to remind our body that it is safe to relax. So before I sing this song, I'm going to go in and give myself a hug. Oh, already feels better. This thing that I was doing at the beginning, I don't know why. It helps. Muscle engagement of any kind, doing a little mini plank, doing some squats, like a big long squat. That can all help give your muscles somewhere to put all of that, all of those hormones, that cortisol and adrenaline. And then if you start your song from a place of, my body knows I'm safe, my brain knows I'm safe, my nervous system knows I'm safe, and I have stopped seeing that note as a big hurdle, then it can approach it in a more open way. And as you go to sing this note, sure, you might be a little scared of it, but if you are watching out for that self-talk, and instead of saying, oh God, here's this scary note, you can switch it and reframe it into, okay, here's my opportunity. I get to open up and show these people what I've got. That is much more open and safe and happy, honestly, thought. And your body feels more safe to open up in that space, and chances are you're going to nail that note, So yes, it's important to know the technique and to know that, yes, my tongue is tight, my throat muscles are tight, and here's a different way. I'm going to bend my knees, I'm going to open up my angel wings, give my whole body this assignment instead of just my voice. Those are all really, really good technique-based tools, body-based tools, to show your body that it can do things a different way. But it's not everything, right? If you're singing the song in front of people, there's going to be more nerves that are coming in. And so all of these tools that you've practiced when you didn't have the nerves are not going to be feeling the same. They're not going to be as accessible because you're nervous. Your body's more tense and more tight already. And so this is why we have to really get in through all of the layers, right? We have to go in through the body and remind ourselves that we are safe. We have to watch out for those gremlin voices. We have to be on beat with our reframe. As soon as you feel that tenseness and that fear come in, you have to be like, oh no, I got this. I'm just going to let it out, you know? And it's really, of course, easier said than done to do that mental reframe. And it does take many, many times of practice over and over again to see that gremlin voice coming and be like, oh no, F you, I got this. I'm going to open. I'm going to let them see what I got. I'm excited about this instead of afraid. That's another really important reframe. Like fear and excitement act the same in the body. It's that we're so afraid of fear that we make it a big mess in our brain. So if you can turn this heightened sense of your nervous system into, I'm so excited to sing this big note, that will be another reason for your body to let go a little more and open this up a little more than in the fear state. So also see if you can see yourself as just another instrument, then it takes a spotlight off yourself. I love that. That's a nice little reframe too. Yeah, I mean, even if you are in front of a band, you are a part of the whole. You are just another instrument that's working to play this beautiful chord that you're singing. And so it doesn't have to be everything's relying on you. That's great. I love that. So yeah, all this is to say, yes, technique is important. Yes, it's important to know where you're singing from, where the tension is coming from, and seeing if we can release that. But a lot of times when you're in a nervous situation, like in singing in front of people, like most of us want to do eventually, if you're a person that has not sung in front of people and this is where you're trying to get to, this stuff is where the rubber meets the road, right? Technique is great. Of course, we can do it in a place where you feel safe. Like if it's just you in your car or just you and me in a one-on-one lesson, we can find those spaces, we can find the openness. But if you can't find that openness again, if you can't find that feeling of safety within your own mind when you're on stage in front of people, all that technique work was for nothing, you know? So this is huge. This is the important part about vocal training is we have to know all the reasons why the tightness happens. And it could be fear. It could be uncertainty. It could be comparison to somebody else. It could be whatever reason. So we have to think about all the different parts of you as a singer. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions about any of this, let me know. I'm always happy to answer any questions about what I do and what I talk about because I love to talk about it. It makes me happy. So yeah, that is to say, I think the TLDR of this whole talk is, number one, find another pathway. Try not to talk to yourself in negatives, in don'ts and wrongs and all that. Find another way that is from a different angle. So instead of saying, don't tighten up, try this. Does that feel more open? Great. Do that instead. Number two, figure out what your pattern is and understand what is happening in your mind right before you sing this struggle note passage, whatever you're dealing with. Is it fear? Is it uncertainty? What is your history with this song? What is your history with this note, this kind of tone? How are you feeling about it? Ask yourself all these questions. Journal about it a little bit. See if you can get to the bottom of why this tension keeps coming up when you know that it is possible to do it more openly. And if you're at a loss, that's what I'm here for. That's my job. I love asking these questions, getting to the bottom of this stuff. So happy to talk to you. There's a trial session that's in one of the links in my bio. You're welcome to book one at any time. I have 1 or 2 openings in my private sessions, and I'm also thinking about opening another Vocal Magic cohort in November. So if you're interested in that, if you're curious, if now feels like a good time for you, let me know and I'll put you on the wait list. So when the doors open, you'll be first in. If you don't know what vocal magic is, DM me. I'm happy to talk about it. It's also on my website, which is sarahjellymusic.com/coaching info. I believe it should be on there too. All the stuff is up there. Oh, thank you for being here, Sarah. It's so nice to see you. Thanks for listening. Yeah, anytime you have any questions, just DM me. My DMs are always open. Thank you for being here. And let me know if you're interested in working with me in any capacity. If you are not quite sure, I think there's also some freebies up in there too. So you can download my ebook, the 3 Magic Tricks to Sing Better in Seconds. And you can just download that. You can be on my email list. You'll get a bunch of stuff, and so you can be in my world. I post these lives every Tuesday. I post them on my YouTube channel as well, and so there's a whole backlog of them on my YouTube channel. It's set up as a podcast as well on YouTube, so you can search Vocal Magic live on YouTube and just listen to me in the car talk about voice stuff, other stuff like this every Tuesday. And there's, I think, over 50 of them now that you can catch up on. So thanks for being here. I love all of you, and have a lovely rest of your Tuesday.